The Managing Your Organization Special Feature webinar will cover how to navigate through the organization space and the importance of maintaining an updated personnel list. We will also go over all aspects of the organization features to help with event creation, such as standing teams, facilities, data set templates, and partnerships. Being able to leverage the organization level functions will allow for easier and quicker event setup in the long run. In order to edit and maintain your organization's details and settings, you first need to have the right roles. So you must either have the organization administrator or planner role. If you're just wanting to review account requests and manage personnel roles, then the personnel manager role will suffice. Once you're logged into RadResponder, you can access your organization space from a few different places. So the first is using the quick link tile on the home page to access your organization and those most frequently used aspects of the organization space. So at the top, we can see your currently selected organization, and that down arrow will allow you to change your organization if you are a member of more than one. The other way you can access your organization space is from that top ribbon. So you can click into your organization here. You can also change your selected organization by clicking that down arrow, again, if you are a member of more than one organization. And from here, you can also request membership to another organization in RadResponder. Okay, so once you click into your organization space, you're going to be directed to the dashboard. So this is similar to the event dashboard, but instead this gives you a holistic view of all aspects of your organization instead of just a single event. The dashboard will quickly show you any action items that you have, such as any account requests that need to be reviewed or any new organization requests that are asking for you to sponsor them. So if you're confused about the sponsorship aspect, it's just for you to validate that this organization has a need to be in RadResponder and that they're legitimate. Once you approve them, you have no obligation moving forward. This is just sort of a safeguard that we have to make sure new organizations are legitimate. If you do not see these tiles on your dashboard, chances are you need to add them. So at that upper right-hand corner, there's that green Add Tiles box. So if you click that, you can customize your view. So you can add those tiles. So if you want to see the partnership requests in that single space, you can just check those and click Save. Okay, so now moving into the organization details page. So this is where you can view and edit any of your organization's details, such as the address, the support contact information, and you can also request additional hazard types here, such as ChemResponder and BioResponder in the future. You'll see those other green bars. So as you scroll down the details section, you can view and edit more organization details. So first, you can see that organization settings page. So you can't change these settings, but if you do see something here that you would like to be changed, you can email us at support@radresponder.net, and we can either explain what these settings mean, or we can change them if you would like. Okay, as you continue to scroll down, here is a view-only state of your organization's personnel. So this is a good quick snapshot to see who's in your organization, but if you do want to change any of those roles or add or delete people, you need to do so from that personnel page, which we will cover in just a minute. Continuing to scroll down, you're now in the default sample types page. So here's where you can manage your sample types. And this is useful if your organization only collects certain sample types. So let's say you only collect air samples or soil samples. You can remove all those other sample types to allow for easier data collection and minimize the risk of someone clicking into the wrong sample type. Next, we have the collected data section, and this allows you to see all radiological data collected by your organization. So you can filter this by date, data type, event, date range. However, if you do want to see specific data in a different event and review it, it's best to do that from the event page itself. Finally, on that details page, you'll see the action log section. And this is where you can see all of the changes that were made to your organization, by whom and when that action was taken for your reference and record. So let's start by navigating through the organization space. So we'll start off with partnerships. So partnerships are an integral part of RadResponder. So being able to share data in real time across organizations and jurisdictions is super important here. So while you can set up event-specific partners for your ad hoc needs or events, we highly suggest that you set up standing partnerships at the organization level. So that way when events are escalated to an emergency, you don't have to waste your time at that event setting up those ad hoc partners. From this page, you can view your current partnerships, including what data you are sharing with them and what data they are sharing with you. You can always edit what you're sharing and what you want to be shared with. However, you just need approval from the other organization as well. And to do that, all you need to do is click the blue magnifying glass to view the details of your partnership and edit them. You can view partnership requests from this page as well instead of just on that dashboard by clicking View Requests for you to approve or reject. And you can also request a new partnership here. Okay, next you can view all of your organization's events in this single space. So again, this is a good way to view all the events that your organization has created, and you can also create an event from this page. If you're interested on the event space and more about creating and managing events, we did have a webinar on that a couple months back. So check out our past special feature webinar on this topic, which is available in our resource library. Okay, next is our personnel page. So this is one of the most important aspects of managing your organization. You need to make sure that the right people are assigned the right roles in order to perform their required tasks. So right when you open the personnel page, you'll see a list of all personnel in your organization and what roles they are assigned. If you need to edit this, just click Manage, that blue button in the upper right-hand corner, to adjust these roles and other personnel details. So in that Manage page, you can click the blue question mark to view an explanation of the different roles and what tasks personnel with those roles can perform. So it'll give you a definition of what an administrator can do, an event creator, a personnel manager, etc. You can remove personnel from your organization as well. So if someone's no longer affiliated with your organization, they've retired, etc., you want to remove them from your organization to clean up that list. You can also edit their roles by just checking or unchecking the roles that they need. Next, you can also add personnel. So if there's a user that's already in RadResponder, you can add them to your organization through this button. Just make sure after you've added someone, removed, adjusted their roles, just make sure you click Save Changes. I'll reiterate this again, but it is really important to keep your personnel list updated. So for example, if an account request comes in and no one's assigned the personnel manager, it could get lost. So just make sure that your organization is as accurate as possible. Hopefully, this will eliminate headaches that may arise if certain people aren't given their required roles to fulfill their job responsibilities during a radiological response. So after you save any changes you made, you'll be brought back to the main personnel page. So here you can also opt to see account and membership requests here instead of on that dashboard page. And you can also generate an invitation to invite new RadResponder users to join your organization. So if someone doesn't already have an account, this is a great way to bring them into your organization. Which will then lead us to that invitations tab on the left-hand side. So generating invitations is an efficient way to invite new users to RadResponder to have them join your organization. So here you can view previous invitations sent out and how many accounts were created from that invitation. And you can also create a new invitation to send out by clicking Invite New Users at the top. So you'll just copy and paste this generated email and send it externally via your own email program. Next, I'll go over equipment very briefly. We did have a special feature webinar on this last month, so I won't go too in depth, but you can keep track of all of your organization's equipment here. The main benefit of uploading your equipment into RadResponder is so that you can associate data that was collected with the equipment it was collected with. So that ensures for better data quality and helps with data assessment. Like I mentioned, our last special feature webinar was all about uploading and updating your equipment. So be sure to check that out in the resource library or on YouTube if you want a full comprehensive review of how to upload and update your equipment. Next, I want to talk about facilities. So if your organization has sampling locations associated with a nuclear power plant or another type of facility, adding the facility and their corresponding sampling locations into RadResponder allows for you to use those facilities and sampling locations as data collection points. So when you create your facilities, again, just like with different events that you create, you can change the sharing mode. So if you want that facility to only be available to you, your organization, everyone in RadResponder, that's something you can do. And then you'll just have to add that facility to the event itself when you create your event. So I'll show you what that means. So once you add that facility to your event, when someone is collecting data via the mobile app, they will be able to click sampling location or facility as their location as to where that data point was collected. Okay, next I want to talk about standing teams. So just like field teams on the event side, standing teams are flexible. So you can add team members and or equipment to them, but they're not required. You can create a team by clicking Create Team in the upper right-hand corner. So all you need, like I mentioned, is just that name. You don't need to add members or equipment to create a field team or a standing team. At the bottom, you'll see Add to Events by default. So if you check that, it will automatically copy teams over to your events created by your organization to help expedite the event setup process. So data set templates can also be created at the organization or the event level. So these templates allow for data collectors to collect multiple pieces of data at a single location via the mobile app. By setting up these templates at the organization level instead of at the event level, you can create data set templates that follow your organization's procedures just one time, and then copy these templates to the events instead of creating templates for each event. So again, this is to sort of expedite that event creation process if your organization's procedures call for the same thing for each event. Okay, so you'll click that Add Events by default, and then at the bottom, Assignment. This is where you can add a sample, a survey, a spectra, whatever needs to be collected at that single location, you'll add that here. So you'll enter the details, a description if you need to, and just hit continue when you're done. And then this is what it will look like on the mobile app. So data set templates will list the types of data that need to be collected at a particular location for the data collector to complete, and then that set has been completed as well. So here you can see that the initial detonation site survey data collection set needs 1 gamma, 1 beta, and 1 alpha survey. And the data collector will just go in, select, and record the data. Since we will be going over the alerting feature and how to create alerts in an upcoming special feature webinar, we won't spend too much time on this, but I do want to bring this to your attention. So alert definitions allow particular personnel to be notified when certain criteria are met. So for example, a specific isotope is identified, a survey reading has reached a certain severity level, etc. This is where you can customize that and see who gets notified for a particular occurrence. Lastly, we'll go over some threshold sets. So threshold sets determine the color of the readings that you see on the event map. So if you ever wondered, what's this light green, medium looking green, yellow, orange, red, this all comes from those thresholds. And it classifies a reading as background, low, medium, high, and very high. So for each data type and event scenario, you can create a different threshold set to best represent the ranges of readings that you define as being low, medium, high, etc. You can either edit an existing threshold set or you can create a new threshold set. If you choose to create a new threshold set, you'll just fill out the general information. And a new feature is that you can now rename the labels to best represent your organization's procedures. So for example, instead of the very high label, you could rename it CST turnback limit or whatever you'd prefer. You can also choose to only add the types of radiation you collect by clicking Add Threshold and then entering the upper limits of those ranges. We do have job aids on the majority of these different features in the organization space for you to reference, and again, that's all in the resource library. Like I mentioned earlier, you can also edit a pre-existing threshold by clicking Manage once the threshold set is open. So you'll be editing the upper limits of the ranges, which is why you will not see the very high label on the edit form. The ranges of the readings correspond to the colors of the readings you see on the event map. So that concludes walking through the organization space and how to manage the different aspects of your organization.